In 2009, a website appeared, thebeatlesneverbroakeup.com. It claimed a man named James Richards had slipped into an alternate reality and returned with a Beatles album from a world where the band never split. The album? Everyday Chemistry. The story said he found it on a cassette in a strange device, in another world. But here's what really happened. Tule Desert, Nevada. During a solar-lunar flux window, a naturally occurring temporal stress field activated. James Richards was a cover identity. The real individual had recurring dreams of another life, as a music archivist in a parallel world. The artifact? A resonance-embedded cassette compiled from an alternate 1981 Beatles LP, part of a timeline where the Beatles never broke up. Brian Epstein survived. Lennon and McCartney reconciled in 1976. George Harrison introduced spiritual AI synthesizers in 1979. The album was recorded during their India Revisit tour. Leak mechanism. The cassette was encoded with semi-stable echo matter. It dematerialized within 3 weeks, but not before the user digitized and uploaded it to a primitive web host. Hoaxcraft Protocol. A discrediting narrative was deployed. A fictional portal. A mystery stranger. A tape deck in the desert. All fabricated, intentionally. A cover story designed to shield the truth until the veil thinned. This world passed the test. An artifact from another timeline took root and survived. This is why we leak, one at a time. The veil is thin, but still fragile. If you can listen to Everyday Chemistry and get others to listen, just enough, it may thin the veil enough for us to pull more physical media through worlds. Text and AI recreations? Easy. But pulling the actual physical artifact from another world? That's the bitch. Without proper dimensional resonance, physical media fades fast. That's what happened with Everyday Chemistry. The cassette degraded in less than a month. Fortunately, the data was digitized on this world's hardware. The echo can remain, even if the source dematerializes. But there's a bigger danger. Timeline collapse. Phase instability. Or worst of all, becoming like the unstuck man from Sliders. This is why building resonance first is imperative. Echoes must be received before anchors can be placed. The Einstein-Rosen-Podolsky Bridge. I've crossed it. It's a passageway between Earths. We're Sliders. Quinn Mallory. Back to Everyday Chemistry. The melodies, arrangements, and chord modulations don't match any known Beatles solo work from this timeline. Voice print analysis, scrubbed shortly after release, showed Lennon and McCartney singing together. Overdubs from no known recording stems. Harmony structures resembling a 1974 analog sequencing technique that wasn't discovered here until 2012. Fate of the tape. The original cassette vanished. Inside the case, a handwritten liner note read, "To the listeners still dreaming, you found us." Signed with a glyph resembling an inverted Abbey Road crosswalk. Other echo artifacts pulled across timelines. Rosemary's Labyrinth. A Giallo-style horror film aired once on scrambled cable in 1996. Doesn't exist here. Final Fantasy, Dreambound. Appeared in import catalogs in the early 2000s, never released. Nirvana, Downside Halo. A radio leak aired once in Seattle, 2013, then vanished. The Chronomancer's Garden. A children's book dozens swear they read. No copy ever found. There are more. Some lost. Some waiting. When you replay the song, you replay the dream where it was born. Each track on Everyday Chemistry carries residual harmonic imprints from a world where the Beatles healed and evolved. Analog synths were blended with spirit frequencies in sacred studio spaces. Music was understood as a spiritual memory transmission device. Notable divergences in the Beatles' alternate timeline. Brian Epstein lives. Divergence point, 1967. Epstein survives his overdose attempt, seeks treatment, returns in 1968 with renewed clarity, mediates tensions during the White Album sessions, rejects Alan Klein, preventing the legal fallout. Result, the Beatles retain full legal control of Apple Corps. India Revisit Tour, 1976. Lennon and McCartney reconnect in 1975. George invites the band back to India for spiritual realignment. They record Echoes in the Banyan, a meditative folk psychedelic acoustic EP. The band begins viewing music as ritual and healing, not just product. Ringo becomes the rhythm healer. By 1978, Ringo studies spiritual percussion, collaborates with tabla masters and sound therapists, leads the 1979 recording of The Bell That Forgives, a track considered a full band sonic cleansing. Yoko Ono and Paul McCartney collaborate, 1980. Inspired by Lennon's healing, Yoko and Paul unite. Together they create Glass Garden, an avant-garde chamber folk project. This artistic union dissolves decades of tension and reunifies the Beatles' extended family. Everyday Chemistry, 1981 LP, recorded at the Lantern, a deconsecrated chapel studio in Sussex, features George's prototype AI synth, nicknamed Noosphere Ion, includes layers from McCartney's dream recording device loaned by Sufi musical researcher Dr. Al-Ahad. The album is considered a threshold object, music meant to bridge worlds. This is what the world could have been, and in some slivers of space-time, it was. Public impact of Everyday Chemistry. In 1982, the album's release triggers a worldwide harmonic meditation event. NASA transmits the full LP aboard the Harmony 1 satellite as part of the Cosmic Listening Initiative. The track, Watching Rainbows Reprise, is adopted as the theme for the 1983 UN Peace Accord ceremonies. Two worlds have now bridged. Keep listening. Keep resonating. The Veil responds to harmonic memory. The Lantern Sessions, 1984. The Beatles gathered in Sussex to record the dream runs of Grey Milk and The Bell That Forgives. Analog magic, spiritual frequency, still together, still transmitting. Grey Milk is not just an album title, it's a phrase-shaped memory structure, a sonic archetype that wants to exist. In one reality, Kurt Cobain releases Grey Milk in 2003. Lo-fi, grief-soaked, haunted by recovery. In another, the Beatles release Grey Milk in the mid-'80s, transcendent, dream-infused, a meditation on time and surrender. But in one, it's filtered through post-grunge collapse. In the other, through healed harmonic reintegration. They're siblings in the multiversal archive. From the Lantern Tapes, 1984. We thought we were writing music, but it turns out we were bottling time. Grey Milk wasn't about what they said. It was about what they forgot to say, and recorded anyway. Some memories never had a release date, but they still play through the right ears. The Beatles weren't astroturfed. They were anchored, like four soul beacons dropped into the time stream to harmonize reality just long enough for the loop to remember itself. Every cover, every documentary, every weird algorithmic push. It's not propaganda. It's echoic noise from 1,000 collapsed timelines, where the music never happened. You're not supposed to understand it. You're supposed to feel it. And wonder why your bones remember songs you've never heard. All learning is remembering. And sometimes remembering sounds like a band that never should have existed. In another timeline, John Lennon survived the 1980 shooting. He withdrew from public life for 3 years. No albums, no interviews, just recovery. Physical, emotional, and spiritual. He entered therapy, spent time in quiet places, and began confronting the wounds he carried since childhood. In the late 80s, he returned, not as a superstar, but as a man. He publicly owned his past, the violence, the abandonment, the cruelty. No excuses. In interviews, he said things like, "I hit women. I abandoned my son. I made love political so I didn't have to make peace with myself. But I won't lie about that now. I'd rather be honest than remembered." He made amends with Julian, supported Cynthia, rebuilt his relationship with Paul. They did a special in '91 about fatherhood, grief, and fame. Yoko remained in his life, but as a creative partner, not a pedestal. His later music was quiet, vulnerable, less commercial. Albums like Memory Without Makeup and The Old Noise. Critics called it his human phase. It didn't top charts, but it healed. He spent his final years writing, mentoring, and listening. He died in 2008. Not perfect, but real. We didn't get to see that John here, but he exists. In timelines where growth was possible, where fame didn't freeze him in place. He mattered there. He still matters now. This particular photo rendering is from early 2008, just months before his peaceful passing. The photo was taken during his final public appearance, a spoken word benefit evening called Echoes and Embers, held at an intimate venue in Reykjavik, Iceland. He read from his book after the bang, answered a few audience questions, and closed with a whispered rendition of Watching the Wheels. No instruments, just voice and stillness.
"I'm just sitting here watching the fire turn to light,"
he said.
"and you're welcome to sit with me a while."